Candyman.
We hear you looking for Candyman, bitch.
If you ever needed an example of the expression, fuck around and find out, this it. This is the one. Welcome to For the Nostalgia, where we review 90s classic movies and shows from a millennial big age perspective. And the first movie that we are going to be doing is Candyman. Even though this movie came out in 1992, this movie still scares me to this day.
To this day!
But at this big age, I've come to appreciate this movie, and I've realized a few things. So let's get into it. Let's discuss why Helen should have minded her damn business. So the movie starts off with Helen, who is a graduate student working on a thesis about urban legends. And one of the students is recounting a story about Candyman.
Clara was babysitting for the Johnsons, and Billy pulls up on his motorcycle. He looked in the mirror and he said,
Candyman?
So she stops him from saying Candyman the final time. And meanwhile, he thinks this is funny. He's amused. He thinks he's going to get him some. Only to say it the final time. And?
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
So surprise, a little slice and dice, and she's dead. So anyway, that concludes the story. Helen is like thinking it's cute. It's a cute little urban legend. It's not serious. This is not really happening. She really thinks this shit is sweet, but it's not. Obviously. So we meet Bernadette, who is Helen's friend, who is also helping her with this thesis, and she's currently avoiding unwanted advances from this guy.
Thanks. No problem. See ya. See ya.
Boy, if you don't...
So later, Helen goes across campus to visit her husband, who's a professor at the same university. He is also doing a lecture on urban legends, which she does not like because she feels it's gonna interfere with the interviews that she's doing with the students. It's here that we get an inkling that her husband is not a good dude.
The lovely wife.
Hello?
Now look at this helpful.
Dan, Stacy.
Hi. Hello?
The nerve, the audacity to shake her hand. What the fuck?
Tell me about this girl. What's her name? Stacy.
Wait, I want you to see how smooth this guy was.
Well, I guess that's because she's madly in love with me.
You see how he slick told the truth?
You don't really think.
No, of course not.
Good, I should hope not.
Then he made sure to plant that seed of doubt real quick. But we'll get back to him later. Anywho, Helen is later working on a thesis, and one of the janitors overhears her interviews, and so she tells her like, hey, my neighbor actually lived in the building where Candyman lives. So she tells her to come here, and y'all, this part is so funny to me.
Lyle.
Oh, pleased to meet you. Henrietta Mosley. And this is Kitty Culver.
Well,
Side note, I love how they captured her hesitation.
There was some lady in a tub and she heard a noise. And she heard this banging and smashing like somebody was trying to make a hole in the wall. And when they finally got there, she was dead.
Okay, so fun fact, this is actually a true story. So in 1987, Ruth and McCoy called 911 because someone was trying to come through her bathroom mirror. So the dispatcher thought she was crazy, but in her apartment, there was a passageway that usually maintenance used to get from one apartment to another. So what happened was they broke into her apartment through the bathroom mirror, killed her. She was shot, I believe, 4 times. They did not discover her body until 2 days later when the landlord took down her door. And the police was there the night that it happened, but they didn't want to kick down her door because they didn't want to get sued. Damn.
Yeah, but I don't know nothing about that.
I bet she cussed Henrietta smooth out when she got to that car. This is one of the moments where I feel like Helen didn't realize that these people had so much to lose by speaking about Candyman. So Helen ends up doing some more research and she finds out that her apartment complex was actually meant to be a housing project along with Cabrini Green, but instead developers decided to turn her apartment complex into a luxury apartment complex and keep Cabrini Green as is. And so she realizes that they both must have the same layout, and so it goes along with her theory that Candyman is actually like a human assailant and not this mythical being that everyone thinks he is. And it's here where she makes her first mistake.
Candyman. Oh, you chicken.
Just wait, sis. You called the main line and you didn't even know it.
What time is it?
It's late and I'm smashed.
See, it was at this moment where her intuition should have been kicking right now, because why is he home late? Like, really? So anyway, Helen and Bernadette end up taking the trip to Cabrini Green. While Bernadette understands the assignment, Helen still thinks it's a joke.
You're the one who got us dressed up like cops.
And Helen, you need to listen, because you're thinking this is a field trip when it's not.
We've got a real shot here, Bernadette.
Yeah, a real shot to die. So they get to Cabrini Green and they're walking around looking real obvious, taking pictures and doing all that. So they're trying to get more info about Ruthie Jean and what happened with her. And honestly, like, if they were trying to be inconspicuous, it was not working at all.
Sorry.
So they head into what was Ruthie Jean's apartment and they confirm that it's the same layout as Helen's apartment. And of course they head over to the bathroom to further investigate. And honestly, like, you go to a housing project, you go into an abandoned apartment. Like, I don't understand this. Like, I would be terrified. It's like they didn't care. Like, Helen had no fucks to give.
Hey, what y'all doing in there? Well, you don't belong here, lady.
So this is when they officially meet Anne-Marie McCoy, who was the neighbor of Ruthie Jean and heard what happened that night, that she got killed, and she just recounts her story about Candyman and what she's heard and what she's experienced.
I heard her screaming. I dialed 911. Nobody came. Nobody came.
So later on, Helen goes to dinner with, I'm assuming, her husband's colleagues, and this is where they hear the origin story of Candyman.
It burned his body on a giant pyre and then scattered his ashes over Cabrini Green.
Pause. I just think it's funny how she never took the time to find this out on her own. If it wasn't for this conversation, this dinner, she would have never known the origin story of Candyman. Like, what were you doing? So Helen does what she does best, and she goes back to Cabrini Green by herself in the same attire, looking just as suspicious as she usually does. And she runs into Jake, who lives in Cabrini Green. And I don't even think he had parents. Like, we never saw his parents. And he tells her his own personal story about Candyman.
And the boy, he need to go, to the bathroom. His mom get mad at him, send him across the street. He's lying on the floor in a pool of blood, holding himself.
One thing that will always bother me is, why did she send that baby to the bathroom by himself? By himself. Like, why? So what did Helen do after hearing yet another story about Candyman? You already know what she did. She took her happy ass in there to investigate by herself, looking like a cop, looking suspicious. Like, I can't. So of course, surprise, the fake Candyman shows up with his homeboys and he gives us the most iconic line ever.
I hear you looking for Candyman, bitch.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
and she found out. So anyway, she goes to the police station to identify this guy. And so everyone thinks it's over. They found Candyman. He isn't this mythical being. He's just a human. They think it's all over.
Listen, I just wanted to thank you for saving my life.
I want to go home.
You won't have to go to court.
And here she goes again, not reading the room, not realizing that these people have to go back there and live. And we haven't even seen his parents, so who's gonna look after him? Like, come on.
Candyman isn't real. He's just a story.
Candyman ain't real?
So Helen gets the privilege of returning back to her simple life in her luxury apartment with her cheater boyfriend. Ugh, he gets on my nerves. So she returns to campus and finally meets up with Bernadette, who hasn't seen her since the attack. And Bernadette shows her or tells her that they were able to salvage her pictures that she took and that they are going to be published. So she's super excited. You know, she's thinking Candyman is over. I've solved the mystery. Everything is good. Shit is sweet. Girl, please.
Helen.
Now, for this man to be technically dead, he has the shiniest pair of Stacey Adams I've ever seen.
Who is that? Who is that?
Here I go! The man right here! The man right here!
Now remember, Helen, you the one that called them on that main line, okay?
Be my victim.
So I get that, like, as long as people are talking about Candyman, fearing Candyman, sharing stories about him, that's how he stays alive, technically. However, you know, that's how he stays alive. But my thing is, like, what took him so long to come after Helen after she said his name? Like, what was the wait for? What was he waiting on? So after she faints, she wakes up in a pool of blood, not knowing where she is or how she got there. And she realizes she's back at Cabrini Green, back where Anne-Marie McCoy is. And so the dog is dead. The baby is missing. Anne is going psycho, as she should. And this is where Helen turns into the bad guy. So mind you, when she's in custody, she tries to call her husband, but he's not home at 3 o'clock in the morning. So after this traumatic night, she ends up making bail, ends up coming home, and then her boo, husband, boyfriend, whatever, could not wait to leave.
Where were you last night?
I was here. I was fast asleep. Thought you were with Bernadette.
So even if this was true, you went to sleep soundly knowing that your girl was out there and you didn't even know she was safe or not.
We're gonna get through this, okay?
Yeah, I doubt it. So after Trevor leaves, Helen decides to look at the camera footage she took prior to her assault. And it's here that she notices that Candyman is in one of the pictures. So he's basically been with her the whole time. So for some reason, she gets her happy ass up and goes to the bathroom and stares into the mirror, and Candyman leaps out to get her. And she tries to run away, but girl, this is what you wanted. You continuously spoke this man up. You literally went looking for him. And now that he's here in the flesh, you want to run. Child.
Your disbelief destroyed the faith of my congregation. Without them, I am nothing.
Then poor Bernadette, she's trying to be a good friend, and she messed around and got. I felt so bad for her, and it was truly messed up because even though she didn't say his name the final time, she still was murdered brutally. So here comes Trevor. Bernadette's dead. Helen's holding a bloody knife. Yeah. So the police come and take Helen to a mental hospital, and baby, Trevor was waiting for this.
What What do the good know, except what the bad teach them by their excesses? Allow me at least to kiss.
So this man has ruined my reputation, my relationship is over, has murdered my best friend, and he wants a kiss. Ciao. So later we see Helen being taken to the psychiatrist, and it's here where she finds out that she's been here for a whole month and she didn't even know it. So in order to convince the psychiatrist that she's not crazy and that Candyman is real and this is really going on, she gets the bright idea to call Candyman to prove him wrong.
I can prove it. I can call him Candyman.
Well, she was right.
You're mine now.
So from here, Helen escapes the hospital and she heads home to be back with Trevor. And this is where it gets interesting because she goes home, goes back to her apartment, and guess who is painting the apartment Pepto-Bismol pink? This broad.
Get out of my home.
This girl cannot act to save her life.
What's the matter, sweetie pie? Did you make another little boo-boo? What are you doing here?
What you mean, what's she doing there? That's her house, boy.
Call them.
Now, it was all cute when you was with the professor and you thought you was getting a one-up on the girlfriend, but yeah.
Trevor, you were all I had left.
So Helen comes to the realization that Trevor is a bum and she has nothing or nobody at this point. So Helen goes back to Cabrini. How she snuck into this neighborhood after everything that's happened, I don't know. She sticks out like a sore thumb and I highly doubt she was that sneaky. Okay? But anyways, she heads to Candyman's lair, if you will, and notices that he's sleeping. And she tries to kill him with the hook, but it ain't happen.
You came to me.
So Candyman picks her up, and I guess this is supposed to be the final act, her surrendering to him and becoming a part of him. There's no turning back at this point, and she's out for the count again. So Helen ends up waking up. As she's walking around, she stumbles across this mural, I guess, of sorts that Candyman made for her. This dude is clearly obsessed and he's not letting up. Helen hears the baby and realizes that Candyman has taken the baby to the pile. So as she's doing that, Jake wakes up and sees a hook going down into the pile and assumes it's Candyman and gets all the residents up so that they can kill Candyman. But besides all that, like, why was he? It seemed like he was sleeping outside. Like, I keep asking, where is his parents? Like, where was his parents?
I knew you'd come.
Burn him.
Poor Anne. She's so traumatized at this point. She doesn't even know how to feel. Meanwhile, Helen is fighting for her and their child's life. She ends up setting Candyman on fire and crawling out of the pile with the baby. So while they're laying Helen down to rest, all of Cabrini shows up to, I guess, pay their final respects to Helen after everything. So poor little bummy Trevor is missing Helen, already regretting this one. And he's just sitting here reminiscing, and he decides to do something really stupid.
Oh, Helen.
So you guessed it, surprise! Helen comes through and guts that ass. But let me tell you how I know she petty. Who finna get blamed for the murder? Guess who? And of course, that was the end of Candyman. So my final thoughts on this movie is that Helen brought all this shit on herself. She actively sought him out, actively called his name, and sparked the initial doubt, which made him have to take her through it in order for her and others to believe again. And Helen low-key blew up people's lives in pursuit of Candyman. She never took into account that the residents of Cabrini didn't have an escape. So snitching about Candyman was not an option. I mean, who was going to protect them? You saw how hesitant Henrietta was. You saw how hesitant Jake was and Anne Marie was. Like, these people actually lived there. So they had to deal with whatever repercussions there was to bringing up Candyman and bringing him into the light. Like, they were the closest to him. He was literally at Cabrini. So it wasn't an option. And to address the elephant in this film, how can you kill a man that's technically already dead? Like, how does that work? Does fire kill ghosts or something? Or I think I'm missing something because I didn't understand that. And then, like, was it a combination at the end of people seeing his demise and then therefore, like, killing the fear? Maybe? I don't know. But last but definitely not least, I don't feel bad for Trevor. Not at all. And I hope old girl got framed for his murder, because she and Trevor had no cares in the world and were doing what they were doing openly. So it is what it is. With that being said, thanks for watching this video. If you would like to see more 90s classic movie commentary, please subscribe so that you can be alerted when I upload. Hope you have a great day, y'all. Bye.